So, Peter Hitchens, thank you very much for joining us.
So far?
So far. Good. When did Britain die?
Oh, it's been a long process, as dying is. I suppose really it began in 1914, and the final choking breaths have yet to be expelled, but it's coming. It is, to all intents and purposes, a dead country.
What was it like pre-1914? Can you talk about the sort of...
Well, I wasn't there. I could only
But what were the ideals
guess,
that...
But the fundamental difference was
Right.
that the most basic difference was that we were a creditor nation. People actually used golden sovereigns to pay for things, golden currency. We were not in debt to anybody. We had immense overseas investments. We had the capacity to remain rich and in credit, and therefore to act pretty much independently, both domestically and in foreign affairs if we wanted to, and to defend ourselves. We were industrially and commercially successful. We had an generally accepted moral system. We had not conquered, but hugely diminished crime and disorder. We were on the very edge of an age of discovery and modernization, which would, without war, have been nearly as rapid and tremendous as the one we had, and we threw it all away, joining in some bizarre Russo-German conflict in which we had no part. And we've never been the same since. Also, we didn't just throw away our wealth in terms of material wealth and the gold and the investments and the credit. We threw away, and in many ways this is more important, we threw away the flower of our manhood. Because remember, the first 2 years of the First World War was fought by volunteers. Every man who went chose to go, and they chose to go because they thought that it was the words inscribed on the medal which my great-uncle received at the end of it, the Great War for Civilization. They genuinely believed that. They went because they were good. And so all the best people went and were turned into rat food and pounded to pieces by shells. And it leaves an effect. Either go to the great war memorials in the northern industrial cities and see the intolerable lists of names, or go to the colleges of Oxford and Cambridge and look outside the chapels, or the great public schools and see immense lists of names of lost poets, philosophers, journalists, things that concern me, but also businessmen, industrialists, inventors, Nobel Prize winners, fathers of families, just gone, wiped out in a mist of blood in the course of 2 years, and in most cases before they could ever get children. It's a very tragic memorial in Port Sunlight, which is the only one I've ever seen which does this, which includes the children of the lost. Looking utterly mournful at the desolation of these are the children whose fathers went away and never came home, who had fathers in the war and who lost them. And they too were desolated. And the effect that this had on the country is permanent and, if not irrevocable, and certainly it still affects us. If we're missing, as we are, so many of the characteristics we used to have as a country before 1914, it's because of that loss.
It's interesting that you made that argument, that because I think people...